10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast, episode 455. Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 455 of the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast. This week we are going to continue our series on ornamentation. Last week we talked about and looked at some phrases utilizing some 16th note triplets and some neighbor tones. One of my favorite forms of ornamentation and one of the most used forms of ornamentation in jazz history. Today we're going to look at a little bit of a different thing. And this one, I don't know if it so neatly fits into the box of ornamentation, but I'm just going to go ahead and present it to you because I think it's pretty cool, and I think it can be really useful for you. So another thing that a lot of bebop musicians will do is they'll use double time to make their eighth note lines sound a little bit more interesting. And double time is something that we all want to be able to use. I think it might be like one of the most sought after skills is to be able to play these sort of like blazing double time 16th note lines. And this is actually a great way to start using some 16th notes in your soloing without worrying about having to put together these like super measure long double time lines, because that can be extremely intimidating. It can sort of introduce you to the concept in a really accessible way and start you down the path toward building that ability to play longer double time lines and be able to get that really, really cool intensity effect by playing measures that are just full of notes in the form of double time. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a very, very simple 2-5-1 phrase, and you're going to notice that there's a lot of space in this phrase. So here's the phrase that we're going to start with. 1, 2, 3, 4. Listen to that again. So you'll notice it comes in on 3 in the first measure, and then it's very simple. There's a lot of space, and there's a reason that we're leaving all of this space. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because it's going to give us plenty of space to start adding notes. So what we're going to do now is we are going to add a couple of notes before that initial phrase came in. So in the first bar, what we had was 1, 2, 3, 4, rest, rest. What we're going to do is, on the and of 2, we're going to add 2 16th note, basically just pickup notes to beat 3. And all we're going to do is use 2 chromatic notes that lead into that first note over the 2 chord. So instead of 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, we're going to go like this. 1, 2. Let's hear that again. 1, 2. Pretty simple, right? So now, let's use that same concept in the second bar, because in the second bar, we also came in right on beat 3. We went like this. 1, 2. Hear that again. 1, 2. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add those same 2 16th notes on the and of 2, but this time we're going to use 2 chromatic notes from below the note that's being played on beat 3. So here's the original line. 1, 2. And here's our new line with the 2 pickup notes on the and of 2. 1, 2. Right, original again. 1, 2. New one. 1, 2. Okay, so now if we put the first 2 measures together, and actually this is the whole line. This is ornamentation number 1 on your worksheet for this week. It's going to be 1, 2. let's go back to our original. This is what we originally had. 1, 2, 2. And now this is what we have ornamented. 1, 2, 2. Hear how much that adds? And I mean, you are playing double time. That's the cool part about it. All right, let's take it one step further. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add 2 more notes to each part. So in measure 1, we just came from this, 1 and 2. All I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2 more chromatic notes. So now I'm starting on beat 2. 1. Hear that? Now there's 4 16th notes, all chromatic, leading me to the note on beat 3. 1. Pretty nice, right? So we're just taking our idea and we're adding to it. So now let's do the same thing in measure 2. So what we did have was we had 1, 2. So now we're going to back that line up to beat 2, but this time, instead of just doing 4 chromatic notes going up, what we're actually going to do is we're going to play a little enclosure. So 2 chromatic notes above the note on beat 3, and then 2 below. So it'll sound like this. 1. Hear how that works? 1. So now if we play the full line, we have this. 1. Again, 3, 4, 1. So we started with this. 1, 2. Then we did this. 1, 2, 2. Now we've moved to this. 1. So you see a lot more activity, a lot more notiness. And that's really what happens when we start adding these notes and we start making the phrases more complex. A lot of us do want a little more notiness, a little more density in our solo, and this can be a great way to achieve that. All right, I've got one more example for you, and all we're going to do is we're going to add 2 more notes to that first measure. So we had those chromatic notes. Right? Now we're just going to add 2 more notes, and I'll let you dive into the PDF and sort of analyze what's going on because it's not chromatic anymore. And now we're just going to start on the end of 1. So 1. So here it's just more. We're just dealing with addition, right? And then the rest of the line stays exactly as it was. That's it. So how can you work on this stuff? Well, you can use these lines as an example. You could play right through each of the 4 lines, the original one, that sounds really simple at this point, go on to a little bit of ornamentation, a little bit more, and then what we just played as sort of final arrival point. And then what you can do is you can start creating your own phrases. Start with something really simple with a lot of space, and then just start adding stuff to that in the form of approach notes or ways to precede what you already have there, ways to connect what you already have there. Now, this is not going to be perfect right away. You're not going to be writing these totally killing lines, but at least you want to start the process of doing that. It could be frustrating. It could be a lot of trial and error, but highly suggest doing it. It's the only way to get better at it. So maybe take this 251, start with your own little simple line, again, a lot of space, and then just experiment until you find something that works, and then write a dozen more of them, right? I wish there was some like golden nugget that I can give you, but really it's usually just about iteration and trial and error. So if you want to see the material that we talked about today on the episode on paper, and you want a recording to practice it along to, then consider joining our Patreon. We're a listener-supported podcast, which means it's people just like you that make sure that the podcast keeps coming out each and every week and provide a little bit of financial support in the form of a small monthly donation. Then you get all the materials in return for that. So if you want to know more about the details, you can go to our website, 10minutejazzlesson.com, click on one of the Patreon banners, or you can go to patreon.com and search for the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast. As soon as you get signed up, you get access to all of the episodes that we've ever done, which is obviously quite a back catalog, along with the stuff that I am putting out this week. So again, if you want to support us, patreon.com, search for the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson, or 10minutejazzlesson.com, click on one of the Patreon banners. Thank you to everybody that supports the show. We definitely couldn't do this without you. All right, everybody, have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Bye.